honored to be your new chair, and I do want to take this brief moment to recognize Jim Boyd, who was an excellent chair of this commission, and I know that we're going to be recognizing him when he's able to come back with us. But in the meantime, I just want to say thank you to him for everything that he did for this commission. He served for many years before he became the chair, and he did a wonderful job. Okay, could I have someone give us a prayer this morning?
All right. Could we bow our heads? Thank you, Lord, for gathering us this morning. Help us to see how to fulfill your will in all our actions today and guide us for the betterment of our city and county. And we ask this in your name, amen.
The next is to call for approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion in regards to the minutes, please?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All right, they'll be approved then as distributed. Mr. Manning, would you give us the financial report?
Yeah, if you turn to the financial report, the second column in is actually the March year-to-date column. Forget what the headline says, but it's March year-to-date. And then, of course, the column really all the way to the right is our budget amendment for the year, which is our most current thinking as to what we're going to do in the fiscal year 24-25. And if you look down to total commission revenue, you'll see that year-to-date our whole commercial revenue is $190,677, and there are total year current forecast for revenue is $223,708. So we're at 85% of revenue, and we're 75% through the year, so we're over revenue in terms of the pace. And if you flip to the next page, and just drop all the way down to total commission expenditures, you can see to year-to-date, through the first 9 months of the fiscal year, our expenses have been $169,784. If you go over to the last column, which is our current projected for the total year of $244,605, we're actually at 69% of our total projected expenses compared to 75% if we were right on. So we're over on revenue, under on expenses. Really nothing else to report that we haven't talked about in the past. Yeah, we do need a motion to accept.
I'd like to make a motion, we accept the.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Okay, thank you.
And I think we need to remind ourselves to use the microphone so that people can hear us.
Is that me or Mr. Manning?
No, we just have all of us do it.
Just in general?
We turn our heads and it goes away from the microphone.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Okay, construction sureties. Can I get some information about that? Mr. Lyndon Smith?
Yeah, this is my first time doing construction
We'll be
sureties
kind.
here. This was for Stonegate developers. They have a letter of credit in the amount of $656,325.82. And they are looking for a construction contract approval.
With approval for the chair to sign.
With approval for the chair to sign. High Cliff Properties, they're renewing a letter of credit in the amount of $863,516. And Hunt Farm Section 7, accept letter of credit in the amount of $305,000, and provide a motion allowing the chair to sign the construction contract.
That particular one, which one is that one, Joe? I don't see it on my list, is the reason I ask.
What's that?
The Hunt
The Hunt
Farms?
Farm.
Hunt Farms?
I have an updated agenda laying in front of you.
Ah, you tricked us.
Check it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It does not include the table, the updated table with Hunt Farm on it.
That's what I was, this is the graphical table. I was expecting to see it on there.
No, I haven't updated the table. It'll be updated next time around.
Okay.
If we make these changes, then it'll go
Yes.
on to it. Thank you very much.
All right. I'd like to make a motion, we accept those changes.
I'll second.
So does that include
And I think, yeah, we need to authorize the chair to sign.
Yes,
Yeah,
does that
that's correct.
include the motion to allow me as chair to sign in
Yes.
both of those?
Yes.
Okay,
And I'd
so,
like to amend mine to include the
Yes.
signing.
okay, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Henry, are you keeping us honest?
You're trying, it's
I
not
have,
easy.
I have a question is about the contract, and I don't think it's in front of you, but
No.
Lisa, I just wanted to check and make sure that this paragraph 3, where it says the developer agrees and stipulates that the sum of, that reflects, not just the bond, but the full amount of improvements.
On Stonegate,
Yes, ma'am.
you're looking at the previous contract.
Got it.
I haven't done the current contract yet, but it will be based on a phase 1 total estimate, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And that total estimate number, not just the 20% or the 10%, but the total amount should be listed in that paragraph.
Yes,
3?
sir.
Okay, all right.
Which is the amount that is here.
No
So-
amended motion required, just
So-
wanted to clarify that.
When you update the chart here, Lisa, that'll reflect the phase 1? Is that type of wording you're going to put in here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. For clarity, it's easy on the records that way. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Okay, so the construction sureties are accomplished with those motions. Do we have any subdivision approvals? I don't see any on the agenda.
No.
Okay, so now we're gonna need to go into a public hearing. We have 2 items for that. I need a motion to go into the public hearing, please.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Okay, now we're in the public hearing, and the first item is the Home 2 Suites. Mr. Smith, can you go over this for us, please?
Yes. This property is located at 195 Shannon Way. It's, applicants are requesting approval from the Planning Commission for a site plan to construct a hotel. The property is located in the Highway Business Zoning District. We had this in technical review. A summary of the comments were for a hydrant to be located near the entrance of Shannon Way. An EV charging station should be located away from the building, possibly the other side of the parking lots area. And I believe they have submitted an updated plan that includes that.
I don't know that we have a copy of that, but
Okay,
that's okay. As long as you have it there on record, it's fine.
okay, yeah.
So
This
may
is a
I have
corrected-
someone come forward to talk about this application?
Your name, address.
Good morning, Kendall Wise,
Good morning.
Vantage Engineering. So I'm working with the architects and we're providing the site design for the project and obviously the development plan.
Grab that microphone, move it around a little bit so it catches your voice.
Okay. I'm gonna give you a copy of a rendering of what the hotel would look like.
Oh,
Love it.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pictures are always fun. I'll hold it up for you if you like.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kendall.
So this is a Home Two Suites. It's a Hilton product, you know, a chain hotel, something that's, I guess, a new, fairly new. I mean, you're starting to see them in all the major cities. It's got several suites in it. It allows for some extended stay, but at the same time, if you just want spend a night, you know, it's available for that. But the same group is building this project that owns the Hampton Inn and the Holiday Inn Express.
Okay.
Thunder, sorry about that.
So I think at Tech Review, we had some comments from the fire chief, and we've made some revisions. I spoke with him. We've added to the plan another fire hydrant. So there's an existing fire hydrant on the front left corner of the property. We've added a new fire hydrant to the front right corner of the property. So the fire department will have an easy way to fight a fire without having to go around the building, or, you know, it's all right there. The fire chief also had a concern about the EV charging station being located near the building. We recently did, with this same group of developers, we did a Home Two Suites in Richmond, and it just got completed. It's funny because that planning and zoning board asked us to move the EV charging station next to a handicap space, which is always near the front of the building, so that we didn't discriminate against who could use a EV charging station. So
It's not consistent, I agree.
So in order to satisfy the fire chief, we have since relocated the EV charging station to the outer part of the parking lot. That's fine.
Yep,
for us.
his concern, because I was at the meeting, was pretty clear about his preference is not to have it adjacent to the building.
Right.
It's a separate item, isolated, and could be, if there's an issue, it could be dealt with there.
So we've made that change to the development plan and the construction plans. The streetlight layout has been added to the site development plan. The utility signatures have been acquired from the city and from the electric company. Those things have been added to the site development plan. And there was a question about the stormwater detention for the property. And this property is located in a subdivision, and the subdivision itself had a stormwater retention basin designed several years ago. And it's that pond you see, which has some additional stormwater storage on the top of the water surface that's there. So that design was taken care of for a certain acreage of, or a certain watershed. I talked to, all of the commercial properties that are there now that have been built, those all go into the storm sewer, and that storm sewer carries the water to that retention basin. So there's a certain number of those commercial lots that already have stormwater detention provided for them. And so we're not gonna have any of that on site. That's been taken care of with this regional retention basin. And I shared a letter with Josh Morgan about that early on, because we've been talking, of course, we've been corresponding with the city for several months about this one, but I don't mind to share this letter with.
Yeah, during the meeting on the tech review, that's one of the items that was discussed heavily, is that has been addressed. And
It'd be good, though, if you would share a copy of the letter so that we can have it with our records.
Would any of you want to see it, or just?
let me see it, and then I'll give it.
And then we'll keep it in our file. If that's ours to keep, Kendall.
Yes, that copy you can have. So, the revised site development plan was just submitted to Lisa yesterday, so I'm sure that's the reason you don't have revisions in your packets.
Okay.
I've put it in front of them.
Okay.
Now, the other comment is for those that don't know, there's a retention wall at the back of the property. That's why there's a hillside and other issues. And so there's no exit or entrance in the back side of that property. It's off the main front
Right.
area.
Retaining wall of a
Yes.
certain height on the back.
Yep, variable height, I think.
So you know I'm going to ask about traffic, and if there was any need for a traffic study. I know it's part of an existing area. Any issues around traffic? Was that discussed?
Well, myself and Josh Morgan have been corresponding with the State Highway Department about 150, and they're doing their study to look at ways to possibly reduce the number of entrances and improve safety on 150, and that includes Ghost Pike.
And for
But
those,
we're letting them take the lead on that. I mean,
yes. And for those that aren't looking, this is on Shannon Way, which is parallel to the main road out in front.
Right.
And we're talking about the traffic that would be resulting into the main road.
This property is behind Asuka
So,
and Cattleman's
yeah,
in that
Yeah, I
development.
mean, I just recently put together a report, or basically a trip generation. We estimated what the whole project would generate in terms of what we could project would be built there and what those trips would be, and shared all that with the state recently, so.
And Sally,
doing what
to
we
your
can to
point
help,
about
but-
traffic, there's still just the one entrance, right, Kendall? Is that the traffic light there? Is that the only way?
I would say
in?
no. I mean, the streets are being constructed right now that would connect it to Ghost Pike, and then there would be 2 new entrances on 150
Ah.
that have been permitted by the state.
yeah.
Okay.
So there's 3 points of access to the,
Yeah, I was there yesterday, it's not open now,
no.
but you can clearly see what the intent
That it
is.
will be.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anything else?
No, I don't have anything else.
Would anybody else like to speak in favor? Would anyone else want to speak in opposition to this? Okay, so we then need a motion for approval of this.
I don't think there's any conditions or anything else that we have to do special there. I'd like to make a motion, we approve it.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say yes.
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 Okay, thank you. Now we'll go on to Kentucky Solid Surfaces. Do we have someone to speak to that?
Kendall again.
Kendall Wise from Vantage Engineering. So we're doing the site design for the project. The property was originally developed by Jim Davis, metal business there. And they were, the buildings for the most part look like warehouses. Since then, Mr. Arnett purchased the property and moved his granite and countertop business into one of the buildings. Another building has a landscaping business in it, and they also sell mulch and landscape rock and things like that. And then there's another building that's leased and is a warehouse space. And so the 3 buildings are there, and then we're proposing to add, it will be used as a general office space, professional office, and it will also be leased to a separate group. All of these things being on the same property, but they all are used for different businesses. So we're adding parking to accommodate the professional office use. Outside of that, I don't know what more questions you might have, but
I think we
we've
had a
satisfied-
conversation with the fire and safety about the road and the areas in there. There was some question we had about having another building with the corresponding people coming and going and the parking on there, whether there was an effective way to turn a fire engine around at the end of the road adjacent to next door. So the recommendation on our side was to add a gravel turnaround, which was acceptable to the fire group so that they could, if they pull a truck in, they can turn it around, or a ladder truck for some reason in the buildings. That was the only unusual thing, I think it wasn't it, Kendall? We had on there.
Well, Daveco Drive was installed many years ago, and it's a public street with a 50-foot right-of-way.
Mhm.
So, you know, it wasn't terminated properly then with a hammerhead or any such thing to, and so at this point, it just seems a little bit wrong to ask the people who own lots adjacent to it to make changes to the public right-of-way. I mean, the fire department has access into and onto the property that we're proposing to make changes to. I just don't feel like asking Mr. Arnett to make changes to a public street seems appropriate when that street's been there for 20, 30 years.
Well, the item was to ask to just have gravel spread arrangement, such that a vehicle could back on it and back around. That's all it was, not restoring it to a blacktop or the road criteria that we have today. Provide a turnaround region at the end.
Okay.
That
So
was
if he
not
puts-
intended.
If he puts gravel at the end of the road to provide a way for someone to turn around, who then maintains gravel? Because the city doesn't maintain gravel. I mean, they expect it to be paved. So if he puts a mess of gravel at the end of the road just so someone can make a maneuver, and then the gravel needs maintenance, who maintains that? I
Yeah.
just don't, I feel like it's an ask that is not, I mean, the lots have been there,
Mhm.
both sides, and we own property on the east side, I guess, of Daveco Drive. There's other people that own property on the west side. It's a public right-of-way, and I just don't think adding a gravel turnaround in a public right-of-way seems appropriate. You know, if you're gonna do something, I think it needs to be, so, and it's, you know, a solid fix, a paved hammerhead or something like that. And I'm not offering for
Oh, no,
our
I-
client to do that because that's a very
Yeah,
expensive
and
improvement.
it is, our little short conversation is, we spent a fair amount of time in that hour that we had there talking about this topic specifically. And I'm not sure we resolved it back then, but it has been noted in the minutes here that a hammerhead or a turnaround with gravel surface was added as comments that were made at that meeting. And that's why I bring it up here. And I personally can appreciate what the situation is, but this is a request from our safety equipment and fire equipment is what this request
Well, I
came
think the
from.
city has to address it. I don't think it's our responsibility to provide a way for the fire department to turn around at the end of a public street. JJ?
Yeah, come on up, JJ.
Hi, J.J. Harris, Danville, Boyle County Development Corporation. This is just for informational purposes. The Economic Development Authority, which is the city county, has now purchased the Reading tract, which is directly behind this. So I think we might be able to, I'll have to take it back to city county, to the EDA board, and try and help address this matter. So that kind of doesn't really help the situation.
That's right,
but it
that,
might.
that was a recent acquisition.
But it was a recent acquisition, so I think that we can probably help do something to alleviate this concern, because I think
'Cause it-
there is a farm gate there
Yeah,
at the end of
the intention
drive.
was not, the gravel is not to support what you were doing, although we love what you're doing, I do. It's just to have the ability to do it. And if it's gonna happen,
We'll try to make something work,
I think,
to be good neighbors, yeah.
Like JJ's saying, I mean, the Industrial Foundation wouldn't have bought the property to farm it. So
No.
obviously, the street is going to be extended into their property in the future. And it's just a matter of time before something more significant than a gravel turnaround is going to happen there. But
what you're saying to me is a very reasonable question. It is a request. And JJ, if you would please, I appreciate your offer, just make a note of that. If that's achievable, seems like a reasonable approach. Anybody have comments on the board here? Commissioners?
I mean, I think if JJ were to allow the public to come onto his property and turn around on a gravel space. I don't know if that's appropriate either. I mean, it needs to be a public right-of-way that people are
really
making
does.
maneuvers on,
What we're
rather
talking
than
about-
private property, which,
Without the gravel, the truck will have to try to turn around into the parking area in front of the building, in the entrance in the area there. So,
and like I said, a fire truck would have no issue coming into and onto the property through the paved driveway that we have at
Right.
I did have one question on the application, mentioned a possibility of this building being a medical building. And medical buildings to me are people coming and going quite frequently.
Right.
With lots of cars.
To
Is
my
that what it
knowledge,
is?
it's professional offices related to medical
Is
services.
that how that's set up on here?
I don't know that it is a urgent treatment center or anything like
Okay,
that.
I had no idea. I had no way to judge that.
Right.
Because if you're going to do some of those things, getting people in and out can also be, parking can be a concern, number of parking spots. But I know you've addressed it the way you've done here.
Parking is here.
Yeah, the parking is there. But the entrance there is a single entrance on the left side of our plot, or from, if you face the building looking at it, the area, the right side next to the road, next to the street there. So that would be the only other turnaround spot that's available, if I understand the area right. Without the gravel, it's going to be in that type of turnaround. Is that what we have?
That's right. So
Okay.
they would either
So-
pull into and onto the Kentucky Solid Surface property.
Mhm.
There's, I mean,
There's plenty of room there
semi-trucks
to
can
turn
make
around.
maneuvers in their
Yeah.
parking
Yeah.
lot.
That's what-
There's all kinds of
That's what I was
pavement
getting
there.
to. It's not like we got a small lot here.
Right.
Because you've got semi-delivery with the solid surface stones and
Right.
things. Okay. Just making sure we're addressing.
For the public, this property is the stone property behind Walker Trail, so, and it's a section, an additional building in that property.
Do you have anything else?
There was another question perhaps that came up at tech review about stormwater for this.
Okay.
And the city's stormwater regs are very detailed, and there's a lot to it. But in a situation where a development area is less than 1 acre, they don't recommend providing a stormwater detention basin, just because small, ineffective stormwater detention basins are just that. They don't really do their job, and they're more of a maintenance problem than the city recommends developers put in. So we've corresponded with Josh Morgan, the city engineer, about that, and so we won't be adding a stormwater detention basin for this small increase in impervious area.
You went through the necessary checks and make sure and recome. And I think that's what you need to do. Yeah. I think those are the only technical review comments that ended up in the meeting minutes. Okay,
Be glad to answer any other questions, but that's all I have.
thank you, nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else want to speak in favor of this particular item? Would anyone want to speak in opposition to this item? If not, I'm ready for a motion for approval.
I'll move to approve.
I don't, since the meeting minutes called out that these two comments, should we approve it with an understanding we addressed the storm sewer and the gravel surface?
Henry?
Was there an agreement that would be
Well,
addressed?
That's what I was going to say. We need to clarify that with your motion.
All right, do you have a suggestion?
Well,
Go ahead.
What I heard was that
Withdraw.
I'd like to approve it, understanding that the stormwater calculations were addressed effectively to the satisfaction of our group, and that the recommendation to have a gravel surface not be a requirement, but to look at other methods to have that added beyond this particular situation. So, Henry, you're thinking of two things? Do we need anything else on there?
I think that supports, I didn't know if you were going to be suggesting further burdens to put on the applicant or other conditions. It doesn't sound like you are. These are just
No.
findings
No.
that things have been
These
addressed.
are just
Okay.
findings that were investigated. We've resolved those.
I think that's an
Okay,
appropriate motion.
so Mr. Collier made a motion. Can we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
That motion.
Everyone in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to come out of public hearing, please?
I move to come out of public hearing.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say yes.
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 All right, we're gonna go to new business then. I don't believe we have anything from the advisory committee, is that correct?
No.
Budget committee, anything from the budget committee?
No, we presented our revised budget to the city commission last week. Seemed to be accepted.
Okay. Personnel committee. The only thing that I really have in relationship to the personnel committee is that there is an ad hoc director recruitment group that has been working to look at recruiting a director. And we have looked at the salary recommendations related to that, and we had help from Henry Smith in updating our ad for the director. We have one applicant who I did just a screening interview with, but we want to look to see if we can have more than one applicant for the position. So we're still in that search.
And for you, Madam Chair, we did post the national ad, the national APA. Our Kentucky APA ad shows the correct form once you click on it. It unfortunately still reflects our previous salary on the front of the webpage, despite much correspondence. There's no professional staff for Kentucky's APA chapter. It's all volunteers, and I'll keep working at it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, other new business, refund of difference in prior and current review / administrative fees. Who is going to address that issue, please?
Okay, I've got numbers on that. The original fee,
This is
this is for JLS.
Stonegate, actually.
Stonegate, okay. Stonegate Developers under construction sureties. The original review fee was $13,791.46. What they're doing now is a stage one or a phase one portion of that. Their current assessment would be for $5,966.60, which they've chosen to take in form of a refund for $7,824.86.
Okay. Do we need to, is this simply an announcement, or do we
I
need
need
to
a
act
motion
upon
to
it?
be able to direct the bookkeeper
Okay.
to.
All right, so
refund.
I'll accept a motion to approve that refund.
I make the motion.
Thank you. Can I have a second? All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I do want to make an announcement. JLS Investments, who had made an application for a zoning map amendment at our previous meeting for a 29.923 acre located at 901 Shakertown Road in Danville, from agricultural and single-family residential to single-family residential R1C. That has been forwarded to the city commission without recommendation of the planning and zoning, because the planning and zoning commission allowed 60 days to lapse without a decision made in this matter. So we just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of how that occurred. I do also want to ask at this time for an update related to the comp plan. Mr. Collier, Mr. Nolet, can you give us an update?
Sure. So status of the comp plan, our subcommittee is still meeting to work on that, and we have we're actively drafting the comp plan. The revisions to the proposed flume have all been made, and those are available on the website. So if the public wants to look today, on the Planning and Zoning website is the proposed revisions to the flume after the last public hearing. So that would represent what we would propose to bring to the full commission for approval. The comp plan itself is being drafted. I would say we're making progress. Sam and I met yesterday with Josh Morgan to go through the quality neighborhood section. Sam's working on the housing section. I would say we're on track, at least at this point, to have something in June or July is kind of our target, to be able to come to the commission with a draft for everyone's consideration.
And it's been extremely helpful to have the new flume set up on here as a reference point. So it becomes part of the picture, and telling the story, which is really what we're doing in the written text, is one of those very carefully labored. You can go in way too far or way too shallow. But that's just the way it is when you're writing some of these text arrangements on there.
Right.
The housing numbers, as Dan knows, has tremendous amount of data from the US Census. And that is a laborious task to pull out of the database, folks. But we'll get to something that flows and makes sense. In broad characteristics, as most people know, Boyle County in total didn't grow that great, different from 2010. And so that's a really interesting starting point on there, in perspective on that particular one. So it gives great indications that we're okay, we're not losing, great for one thing, but we're not growing tremendous numbers. So writing the text to go with it, I think we found with our group of 4 that we have on here, if 2 of us write, the 4 of us can comment better and come down to a better picture and perspective. It just takes time, is what it is. Not a surprise on that. I invite anybody on the commission who want to join the group, that's just fine. Otherwise, we'll push along, right, Dan?
We're pushing ahead, yes.
Okay, sounds very
It's a little
promising.
easier to have writing done by 1 or 2 people.
Yeah,
I think
very
that's-
promising.
Yeah.
Thank you. I understand that there is a comment from the public. So at this time, do you want to come forward, state your name and your address, please?
I'm a familiar face up here. This brings back lots of memories.
Can
I've
you
been
bring
at
your
many-
microphone
Oh,
down?
I surely
please?
will.
There you go.
Now,
Thank
can
you.
everybody hear me? Okay,
Yes.
I'm Sarah Ballcamp, 875 Shadeland Drive, Danville. I'm speaking today as a member of Smart Growth Boyle, but however, a representative of many Danville and Boyle County citizens who have been concerned about the general comp plan, but specifically about the property owned by Newcomb Oil Company on the north side of town, bounded by Highway 34 and Old Lexington Road. And the very first thing I want to say is how much I appreciate all that you all have, the way you've handled these revisions on the comp plan and your willingness to listen and respond to those. Now, I will admit, I didn't look at the online version within the last week. Has it changed? I mean, okay, well, then I assume that your recent decision involving from the small committee to change that designation for that property that we're concerned with from village neighborhood to garden neighborhood, which ensures residential development, no commercial. Did that get changed?
That's correct.
Oh, thank you. And I don't want to be repetitive because I know I said some of this at the public meeting, but am I being on, will I be online? I know people like to watch these meetings, believe it or not. Am I still being?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Well, if that's the case, then I'm going to repeat just a few things for the general public. The issue of constructing this service station at this location has been a concern for 8 years. When it was first proposed at that time, residents in that area opposed it, and they had a petition, and the plan was denied. I just learned that recently. But this continues to be a possibility. We know there are many reasons why there should not be commercial development on this property, and I'm just very quickly going to repeat them. The Kentucky Transportation Department requires that the station have access on Old Lexington Road. And that is a very established neighborhood with 3 streets involved there. And so the Old Lexington Road would have to be widened, and those neighborhoods are threatened. There are already 2 5-star stations in Danville, both located within 12 miles along the bypasses. A big thing is traffic congestion. It would increase because think of all the roads that are just in that small area. Lexington Avenue, Old Lexington Road, Goggin Lane, Kemper Lane, Waterworks Road, Highway 34, and Highway 2168. That's a lot of traffic in that small circle. And another thing to think about is our tourism business in Danville that is increasing and that we certainly want to support. And many people who come into Danville for our shopping, our historic areas, our festivals, many come in from the north side of town. And we want to keep that entrance attractive and not have the lights and the other things from a service station. So that's the reasons why we want this. I'm going to leave with you some petitions that we've been circulating both online and door to door. And we have over 300 names already. We probably could get more with more time. But I want to thank you for your time, and we hope that you will continue to support the designation of Garden Neighborhood. Now, I just learned some things when I got here today. Henry told me that you make the final decision on the comp plan. You don't have to have it approved by the governing bodies of Boyle County.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Yeah, so the buck stops with you all. And we do appreciate all you're doing, and we'll support you however we can. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think Bunny Scutchfield wants to come up for a minute.
Good morning. I'm Bunny Scutchfield, a resident on Lexington Avenue, and I have a petition here. It says, "We, the undersigned, wish to express our desire to oppose the Flume designation as village center, which would allow commercial development, including retail, restaurants, offices, and personal services on the property on US Highway 34, known as Lexington Road, which is located east of the Save-A-Lot property. There are a number of reasons that this concept is a bad idea. This opposes the idea of infill, taking farmland on the outskirts of our community for commercial development. This would take away business from our downtown business district, which already challenged by the bypass development. There is presently a large shopping center, Greenleaf, nearby, as well as a grocery store and gas station that provides all the services that a residential community might need. Examples: restaurant, barbershop, dentist, liquor store, shopping, car repair, doctor's office, all within walking distance from this proposed property. This is presently vacant in Greenleaf, Save-A-Lot. The surrounding neighborhoods, Green Acres, Indian Hills, Williamsburg Village, and Indian Hills Christian Church would have to contend with noise, lighting, water pollution management, that goes with commercial development. Traffic is already a major problem with frequent accidents around the present development, adding to the already overcrowded byway. This is the entry portal for a large number of tourists coming from the east, and the beauty of the present area of 34 with the country club, golf course, homes with large landscape property and farmland would be diminished by this commercial development. We have 44 signatures today with 28 that we'll bring to the commission in the next week, already completed. I'm certain it could get at least 50 to 100 more signatures if allowed to do so by the neighborhood to an opportunity to respond. Scott had a computer glitch this morning and was unable to get the 300 signed signatures to come up, but I do have some right here. So I submit this to the,
You want to give it over to Mr. Smith and Mr. Smith?
Could I see it for a minute first? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Anyone else wish to speak this morning?
it. Madam Chair, if I might, just briefly, to the members of the public, we're always grateful for the degree of engagement in this community. It's the hallmark of a healthy community. I do want to say that to the extent that we're discussing specific properties going forward, I'm probably going to have to counsel the commission that those kinds of discussions happen upon notice and advertisement, just so that there's no problem with our votes going forward.
Thank you, Henry. I was,
Yeah,
And we can
Thank
talk
you,
about that
Henry.
afterwards if need be.
yeah, thank you, Henry.
Thank you for that comment. I do know that these folks did come forward and ask in the Planning and Zoning Office if they would be allowed to speak this morning,
Right.
so. But
And-
but your counsel is very wise. Thank
Right.
you.
And in the context of the revisions to the flume, which we have not approved yet. So we have in front of us, and what you'll see on the website is the revisions that have been made. So to the garden neighborhood discussion, that was changed. To the discussion about the village center, that was retained as village center in the proposal coming forward. So we'll see where that goes when the that full change comes back to the Planning Commission for approval.
Okay, I understand that there is a need to have a closed meeting at this time, so I am going to ask for a motion that we move into closed meeting
To discuss litigation.
to discuss litigation. May I have such a motion?
I'll make a motion, we go into a closed session to discuss litigation.
Second?
Okay. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
go ahead and stand up. Does that allow us to be out of the meeting entirely?
As soon as we're back online, we can have a vote to adjourn.
Okay. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn our meeting of Planning and Zoning Commission.
I make a motion to
Okay.
adjourn the meeting.
Oh, and I signed.
All right. All those in favor now, stand up. Thank you.